So just like we did with the Ultimate Dreamcast and the Ultimate PS2, we're going to be bringing this tired old GameCube to 2025 with a load of modifications. We're going to be adding, of course, an atomic purple shell because the old one is dirty and scratched. We're going to be adding HDMI so we can use it on modern TVs. Then we're going to add Bluetooth support. Now, rather than just buying one of those controller boards that can be quite expensive, we're going to be using an ESP32 and then programming it with Blue Retro because it's super easy on the GameCube. Going for just one player to have Bluetooth controllers, it's only 3 wires to solder in. So that's going to be super easy. And last but not least, we're going to be changing out that orange LED for one that changes colour. So without further delay, let's dive straight in and get this GameCube stripped down to its bare components, and then we can do all those lovely upgrades. So here's the GameCube in question. It's that old indigo colour. The vent on the side, that gridding is a bit damaged on one side, but yeah, it's an old GameCube. It's a bit tatty. So the first thing we need to do is get this stripped down to the bare components because let's face it, we're pretty much changing everything here. It's really cool to see that the serial port covers on the bottom are all still intact, something that you don't really see nowadays. So we're going to use those funky star screws. There's 4 of them on the bottom. Once they're off, you should be able to just pull off the front and back plate. There's a ribbon cable on the front one. We're going to take the power switch and fan out. Then there's loads of screws going all the way around to remove that CD drive laser assembly unit. Once that is out, we can then take the screws out for the main board itself. Now that's out, we need to prise this off. Take this metal shield out and then take out the power supply itself. Now they don't use thermal paste on this heatsink, it's kind of like the pads, but it can get stuck. So there we go, it's all disassembled and ready to start modding. So before we go any further, I just need to give a shout out to today's sponsor, JLC PCB. They bring your ideas to life in their state-of-the-art facility. They have experts on hand that can bring your schematics to real life. They make PCBs, they can assemble PCBs, and of course they also do 3D printing as well. But one question, how do you actually order PCBs? Well, if you head on over to the website, click Get Instant Quote, and then drag and drop your Gerber files across like so. Give it a chance to load, you'll see a picture of your PCB. How many layers, the dimensions, how many you want, the thickness of the board, and of course you get to choose your colour as well. I'll go for white. You can also have it assembled, and they've always got coupons available for that. As you can see, it's only $2.10 for 5 of these boards, and if you choose global shipping, it's only $1.50, meaning the total is $3.60. So for more information and the latest offers, check the links in the description below. So thanks again to JLC for sponsoring this video and all the other videos. I wouldn't be able to put these videos together without them because I bought most of these components myself, including the GameCube. Anyway, back to the modification of said GameCube. Now the first modification we're going to do is the HDMI. So we got this kit off AliExpress, it was cheap, it was like $36, and I'll put a link in the description below to all the mods we've used in this video. As you can see, it's a mini HDMI, not great. They do give you an adapter for it, but I guess I do have a mini HDMI, full-size HDMI cable. It's just an Amazon basic branded one. So yeah, the adapter isn't the best because it does put a lot of pressure on that port. So we've got the microscope out so you can have a better view, plus it's going to help me make sure all these pins are connected, etc. So what I normally do is tack a couple at the top and then a couple at the bottom, and then just make sure everything's in the right position before I go ahead and solder all the rest of the pins. Flux is definitely your friend, as you're going to see in a moment. So I'm just introducing some solder onto all these points, and at this point I get a bit carried away with the solder and I put far too much on the tip. Now this is a common sight and even experienced people will get this, not saying that I'm the most experienced, but as we're dragging it down you can see that it's just bridging all over the place. But if you add some flux and a generous amount, as you can see, you just watch what happens when I drag the soldering iron down now. As you can see, it's pulling it away from all those pins, and we've just got a little bit at the end, and I will actually get this off in a moment. So that pin is still bridged, as you can see, but there's plenty of flux on there. So we'll just grab that excess solder and we'll put it on these points here to go to this resistor. And there we go, that's pretty much looking good at this point. Now I do have a multimeter and I do like to check continuity to make sure that all the legs are making a good connection, and the multimeter beeps when they are, so that's great. But you might notice something here. If we zoom in, you'll see that these pins are bridged, and I did fix this later on, but not until I pretty much got everything back together. So we're adding the 5V wire, we're adding a load of other wires to various places on the board. It's actually super easy to get all these wires in. The kit did include these wires as well, which is really nice. And then we have to scratch this point off to expose the copper, and then we're going to connect one of those wires. It's relatively easy and there is diagrams. So we're going to snip all these off because this is where that tiny little HDMI board is going to live, and we'll put some tape over it to stop it from shorting out, and you can see there it's just lying on the top. Right, we're going to get everything put back together, which is the same as in reverse, and I'm just going to speed this footage up and we'll just quickly go through putting it all back together. So at this stage in the video, it was just to make sure that it was actually working, and we can also see that rainbow RGB changing colour as well. And yep, everything was working and I did get an output. So we've just got the cutout done for the HDMI port on the back, and now it's time to get this ESP32 connected so we can use Bluetooth controllers. Specifically, I want to use a PS5 DualSense controller. Now I will leave information in the description below of where you can get the software for the ESP32, how to program it, and of course anything else you need like diagrams, etc. We're going to put a sticky pad on the back of it just so it doesn't short out on the board, and like I said, it only needs 3 wires, 5 volts, ground, and then the data line. So now the console is fully back together, it's time to start testing it and playing some games. So now we've done all the modifications, what's my overall thoughts and opinions, especially on how difficult these mods were? So we'll go from the easiest one first, that shell swap. Pretty straightforward, you're just changing the old plastics for the new ones. The rainbow LED just solders in. I didn't get any footage of that because that was already done prior to making this video, but again, it's just soldering it in there, 2 points. Then it was the ESP32. Super easy to program, and then it's a simple case of attaching 3 wires. We've got the ground, the 5 volts, and the data, which is bi-directional, so it can send and receive data through that 1 wire. Now you can add the other 3 wires, so you can have Bluetooth controllers on player 1, 2, 3 and 4, but I just opted for 1 player because I'm not going to play the GameCube with anyone else, because any other games that I play multiplayer or split screen etc, it just wouldn't be on the GameCube. So that only leaves the HDMI modification. Now I did actually want to use one of those electron analog things that we used on the PS2 and the Dreamcast. Unfortunately, after having a look at it, I couldn't see any way of implementing it without too much hassle. I spent a couple of hours trying to figure it out. I couldn't do it. So I've opted for one of these pre-made kits. Actually, they're pretty cheap. They're about $36 from AliExpress. And for me, that's got a lot of experience with soldering and micro soldering, it literally took 10 minutes to install, and I found it relatively easy. But this would be definitely classed as a more advanced installation modification. Now, it's actually a lot better than using one of those analog electro things. So for example, when using that on the PS2 and the Dreamcast, the Dreamcast and the PS2 has a digital signal. It converts it to analog for the older TVs. But then the analog electron converts that back from analog to digital. And of course, with those two-step process, you do lose a little bit of quality. Now, what this HDMI kit is doing is taking that digital signal straight from the GPU while it's still in digital form, and then it's pushing it out to HDMI, which again is digital, so there's no conversion anywhere. So that is always going to be the best way. So the quality of the image is really nice, and the GameCube is just a lot more playable now. The only downside to this HDMI kit is it's not a full-size HDMI port. I think there's 3 different standards when it comes to HDMI. The full size, the mini, which is what this is taking, and the micro, which is found on Raspberry Pis, etc. So I guess it's not the end of the world. I do have a mini to full-size HDMI cable. They give you an adapter in the box, but I just didn't really want to use that adapter, so I've just used my cable. So with all that said, I hope you enjoy my content, and if you want to see more videos like this, of course you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and then hit that bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. I'm JP, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.